This beet kind of looks like a butt. Hello and welcome back to the 52 Sunday Dinners Project. I'm Ashley. I'm a registered dietitian with a love of everything vintage. I am taking this cookbook right here, the 52 Sunday Dinners cookbook from Women's World magazine in 1924, and I am recreating just about every single recipe that's in here. They go week by week with recipes with seasonality and economy in mind. So right now we are at the 21st dinner. We started at week 31, which means we only have 10 dinners left to go in this project. We have some interesting things on the menu today, including salmon loaf with an egg sauce to start. Also, our main course, I suppose I should have said, we don't have a starter today, so we're going straight in with our main of a salmon loaf with egg sauce. On the side of that, we'll have melted potatoes, also spinach, and for our salad, we'll have pickled beets and celery salad. For dessert, we're doing strawberry mousse and feather cake, and as always, we'll have coffee. So let's jump right in and see how these things turn out. For our feather cake, I have the creamed sugar and butter here. I have the beaten egg that we'll add right in here. And I'm wondering, why is it called a feather cake? It doesn't seem particularly light. I thought maybe that was why. Maybe it's very light or something, but I'm not exactly sure why it's called a feather cake. I find it a bit intriguing. With the flour, we have already sifted in, and I'm actually out of baking powder. I have never in my life run out of baking powder, and I've never actually looked to see, I think, because I've never done this much baking before in my life to get the chance to run out of it. But we used a substitute. Hopefully it works out. I just looked it up online. And I did a mix of baking soda and cream of tartar. So hopefully this is going to work out. But it's all been sifted together. Our salt's in there. We're going to get it mixed in with our eggs and creamed sugar mixture. We're mixing this with the 1 cup of milk on and off until it's all been added. Now time for the flavoring. We have a little bit of nutmeg we're adding here. Just a few sprinkles. And we're gonna go with lemon for this one. I think we did vanilla in the last cake or the cake before, so we'll do lemon. I do love a lemon cake. Oh, that smells very nice. I'm a little bit nervous that this is too much cake for this pan, but I'm hoping it's similar to some of these other measurements that I've tried, where maybe the bottom of this bowl is much smaller. So hopefully, yeah, I think it's gonna fit. We have our strawberries mashed up here. Now we're adding our powdered sugar. It seems like a lot of powdered sugar. For certain, our beets there are quite larger than the size of an egg. I forgot about the measurement part when I went and picked the beets out, and I just picked some large beets. So our beet salad will be much bigger than they intended, I believe. I suppose the recommendation is probably to wear gloves when you skin beets because your hands will get very stained red, but I'm just gonna have red fingers moving forward for the next several days. Has anyone ever tried dyeing fabric or anything else with beet water? How much of the middle do you think it wants us to scoop? I don't know why I'm cutting the top off this. It just seemed like it would make more sense. I'm just gonna eat that as a little snack, I think. Guess we'll start small and then work our way up. I'm putting all the extras in this bowl, and then I think I'll just have a little beet snack later. Whoopsie poopsie. I think I took a little too much out of there. I just put a little crack in it. Speaking of a little crack in it, look at our butt beet. Two things with this spinach. Before we get started on the spinach, I just want you to compliment me on my dress today. Another little house dress, but I've been going on hikes a lot recently and there's butterflies everywhere, and so I just really wanted to wear something with butterflies today. So I hope that you love it as much as I do, and I would like you to tell me that you love it as much as I do. And on a totally second and unrelated note, but more related to what you're here for, is the recipes. And we have spinach this time. We've done spinach a few times, and the issue when we're making the spinach today is that where I'm at, I am finding only baby spinach. I'm finding mustard greens, kale, collards, endive, all sorts of other greens that are in the whole leaf that aren't the little baby things that we find for our little salads and bags today, but not spinach, at least since I have been looking for these recipes. The last couple times we've just gone with the baby spinach, but I wanted to try something different today. So we're gonna go with kale instead. Now, obviously this isn't going to translate exactly, but I think it might be a little bit closer to what they had intended back then, or what they experienced back then, than us using that really delicate baby spinach at this point. So let's see how it works with kale. I am pulling it off the rib, and I'm not going to throw these ribs away. I believe in a few weeks, I don't know how soon, but I know coming up is a jellied chicken broth or something like that. So I didn't read the full recipe, but if we're going to do a brother, I'll probably just make another round of bone broth. I'd like to have these ribs in to throw in with all the carcasses and things that we're doing. Isn't the color of greens, once they've cooked just a little while, the most beautiful color of green? I just love to look at it. Salmon loaf, we have our canned salmon right here, and I'm not sure what it means by scald. Like, are we supposed to put it in a pan and like sear it or something and then drain it? Or I don't know, because it says to scald and then drain, or is that just the confusing recipes mismatched or in-ordered instructions? I'm also not sure, like, our methods of canning might be a little more advanced than they were in the 1920s. So do we even need to do that anymore? I don't know. But I think what I'll do is drain it first, then maybe put it in a pan, saute it for a few minutes, and then let it cool and mix it in with everything else. Oh my, I don't know if this is normal in canned salmon, because I can't say I've ever really had it before, but there are a lot of bones in this. There is a bone there, and I've pulled out several of these so far. I'm also seeing all sorts of these little bones, and they are, I mean, they're breakable, but they're still crunchy all right. Oh, yep, there's another little, what are these, vertebrae, maybe? Yeah, there's, whoop, there's another one. I don't know that they actually deboned this salmon before it went in. Oh, nope, that's the entire spinal cord. Look at that. Okay, well, I don't know if that's normal or not, but there we have it. I suppose it's a good amount of calcium. Our ducks will enjoy this. Well, I think it's good that we decided to kind of saute this first and scald it, because we've broken it down and broken those little bones down. I mean, not completely, I'm sure you can still see them there, but they're maybe just a little bit crunchy, but not terribly. I think that'll be okay in the mold, but we have pulled out all of this, and I've already pulled several vertebrae before that, so fair warning. If you're not used to canned salmon, I don't know if this is normal or not, make sure to check it for bones. We have our breadcrumbs here. I haven't seasoned them because they're already pre-seasoned. So we have those there, and we're adding our melted butter. Our 2 eggs, and I have gone with duck eggs again. And my ducks, at the spring, the very beginning when the weather was starting to heat up a little bit a couple weeks ago, they laid like crazy. I think they were each laying an egg a day or something, and all of a sudden they've stopped. So I'm almost through with all of our duck eggs at this point, but we're gonna go ahead and use those up. I'm really hoping they start laying some more again because I just like using them. I actually like the taste of a chicken egg better, but I don't know, it just feels pretty cool using duck eggs. Mixing that up in there. I'll add our bony salmon to this, and then I'll go ahead and add our milk and water mixture. Probably going to have salmon flakes everywhere after this. The smells pretty good. Get all this mixed up in here. This requires hands. Oh, this seems like this is way too much liquid. This is like salmon soup. This doesn't seem right. Let's let this sit for a while. Maybe the mixture will absorb some of this liquid because this seems too soupy to me. Now that this has had time to absorb, it is much better, a much better consistency. I was concerned for a little while. And of course, we have to use our little fishy molds for a salmon loaf. Come on now. Get all these molds loaded up. I haven't steamed anything, I think, since the suet pudding's in the fall. Okay, what do we think? Do we think the salmon mold is going to come out? Salmon loaf? I'm not sure. I greased this up as well as I could, I think. It's still very hot. Surprise, it's not coming out. Oh, why can't we do anything right with molds? Come on, man. You were so lubed up before we started. Why are you being so difficult? Hold on. Okay, we went around the edges with a knife. Let's try it again. Nope. Dagnabbit. Well, it's already hot. I don't think putting it in hot water is going to help, so maybe I just need to go a little further down on the sides. Once more. Shake it up a little. Okay. Did that work? No. Mother duck. Okay, there we are. I'll be honest, I just got very irritated with it and just slammed it down. And it cooperated after that. I don't know. So next time, maybe just brute force and rage might do the trick. Now, I don't know about you, but lately my potatoes have looked like this. They've all just crumbled when I've boiled them. Maybe it's a method I'm using, maybe it's the type of potato I'm using. I don't know, but I tried to boil this so that it wouldn't crumble but be soft, and you can see I have deeply failed. But I did make the white sauce. Now, I made a large batch of this white sauce because it seems to be on several different things. It's on the egg sauce for the salmon loaf, the melted potatoes, and the spinach. So I will add the eggs to it afterward, but this is just the base white sauce for the rest of it. All right, let's try everything. Conveniently, seems to be happening a little more often now. I let people know that I'll be filming, and inevitably somebody shows up that wants to try things, usually not on camera, but they do want to help out and try and give me their opinion. So someone just showed up a little while ago. They're going to be behind the scenes. They're going to try things with us. And I just want to kind of look at our plate. It's a little sad looking. Definitely not the most visually appealing of meals so far, but that's okay. Sometimes the best food is ugly. Let's try our salmon loaf. It smells pretty good. It smells like tuna noodle casserole. Tuna noodle casserole. And I remember I think I remember liking tuna noodle casserole. I don't know if I've had it very often, but I don't think it's the worst thing. I like tuna in a can. Let's try it without the sauce, and then we'll try it with the sauce. That's exactly what it tastes like to me. Even the consistency with that kind of creamy, there's a good amount of carb in there. There's a good amount of, I guess, creaminess, sort of, even without the egg sauce. Let's try it with the egg sauce. Get a little yolk and white in there. Yeah, very, very reminiscent of tuna noodle. Again, I know I've said this about a lot of different things. If you like tuna noodle, I think you'll really like this. If you don't, you won't. And I also will say maybe it's just a couple bites that I'm getting, but maybe it's overall all those little teeny tiny bones that were in there that I was a little concerned about. I'm not feeling them at all. Maybe it just happens to not be in the bite I'm getting, but I think maybe after the pressure canning that it went through and then being steamed and then baked, I think maybe it's mostly dissolved in there. Let's try our spinach, except it's kale. We'll see how, well, I genuinely don't remember what the spinach tastes like before, so I guess we're just going to give a separate opinion on the kale and see if it worked out. It smells kind of sweet, actually. It smells really good. I really like the kale as the option here. I think the texture holds up a lot better than maybe like spinach. I associate with being kind of slimy when it's cooked, and maybe that's just baby spinach. I'm not sure if I remember cooking big leaves of spinach, but this is not, it doesn't have that kind of slimy texture to it. It holds up much better. Let's see with the egg. Yeah, either way, I think that's great. I really like that. Normally, you know, I'm pretty opposed to putting cream sauce all over our vegetables. I find it frustrating. But actually with this kale, I think it bears pretty nicely together. Let's see if our potatoes are properly melted. It smells just like a potato again. Surprise. Actually, yes. That is properly melted. It tastes like I'm eating a solid mashed potato. Is that a weird way to describe it? Once, you know, it's a solid piece here. But as soon as I bite into it, it kind of melts and it has that butter, salt, pepper flavor to it. And Yeah, it's very much like having a solid mashed potato. Overall, I will definitely say these taste way better than they look on the plate. My guest really liked the potatoes. They thought they were really, really good. They liked the texture, they liked the flavor. The kale, they really weren't a fan of. Both the texture and the flavor, they found just they weren't their thing. Now, normally, they don't like salmon in general. However, they felt the flavor of this salmon loaf was actually pretty good. On the, I guess, opposite side of that, the taste was pretty positive. They were concerned about the bones, so the experience of eating it is a little bit also, I guess, off-putting because they said they couldn't just eat it and enjoy it. They spent most of the time eating it, searching for bones in there to make sure that they weren't going to choke on it. So consider, I guess, you do have to consider that. I'm going to share the leftovers of the salmon loaf with people. I am going to have to warn them, and I'm assuming they're probably going to be concerned about that. Now, with those opinions done and tried, let's move on to our salad course. Here we go. And of course, I picked the butt beet. We're gonna try it out. This beet kind of looks like a butt. This is a little weird for me. I can't say I have ever combined beets and celery and mayonnaise. It does remind me a little bit that stuffing with the celery and mayonnaise here. Actually, for lunch today, I had tuna salad. I made tuna fish with Miracle Whip, some onions, some celery, and I stuffed it inside of a cantaloupe and ate it like that. I find that very delicious. That's one of my favorite meals at the moment. But it reminds me of that a little bit just because we're stuffing this celery mayonnaise base into a cavity of some sort. I really like the colors in this. I think they're very pretty, especially for the time. I bet they were very interesting. The smells combine very nicely together. I certainly smell the pickled beet. I can smell the vinegar in there, but I also smell the mayonnaise. It's a nice combination, actually. For me, this is just a little too strange. The crunch and the smoothness are a little too contrasting. I like contrasting textures, but this, maybe if I was used to it, I would really like it. But there is a very, very strong vinegar flavor coming off, which I really like. But there's also that heaviness of the mayonnaise and the crunch of the celery. When I'm describing it, it sounds like they're all coming together very nicely, and I'm describing something that really would work together well. And I think, again, maybe if I was used to it, it would, but just the initial trying it is just a little bit strange for me. Maybe I have to eat this a few more times. Now, my guests tried as well, and when I went to eat that, they were like, "What is that?" And I described to them, told them what it was, and they said, "Yeah, and have fun with that," indicating they did not think that looked like it was going to be good at all. It looked very unappetizing to them, just a little too strange. And they tried it, and they said they were very surprised. They didn't love it. It wasn't the best thing they had, but it actually wasn't that bad. The vinegar flavor, it kind of kicked you in the back of the throat at the end there, so that's very strong, but they didn't think it was as bad as they thought it was going to be. For dessert, I guess we have to pause here because although I've shown you making the desserts, at this point in time, our strawberry mousse hasn't been made. I went to get the cream out, and when I poured it out, it was extremely thick and smelled and tasted like Parmesan cheese. So I didn't think that was going to work out. So we had to go and get new cream, but it has just arrived a little while ago. And it takes, 5 to 6 hours? This stuff has to chill. So I'm going to go ahead and make it now, chill it overnight, and then we will have our cake and ice cream for dessert. No, we will have our cake and mousse for breakfast. Okay, we have our can here. I have a coffee can, and it's sitting around in this pot full of ice and salt. Let's mix our whipped cream and our strawberries together. Did anybody ever make the ice cream in a can in Girl Scouts when you were young? Or maybe it wasn't just Girl Scouts. Maybe this was an activity people did in school or something. But I remember in Girl Scouts we shook it up. I'm pretty sure, like we put it in a bag or something and put salt, rock salt maybe, and ice, and then shook the bag continuously forever, and then got like a little tiny spoonful of vanilla ice cream out of it. I definitely needed a bigger bowl for this. Note to self, I need to start using bigger bowls for everything, because somehow I think magically when a bowl is already full, I'm going to add stuff to it and it's just going to fit everything. I've greased this up because I am determined that something is going to come out of a mold for us. Well, at least this is going to fit in this can. It's not going to be overfilled, so that is a major positive. It's been 5 hours. However, it is after 10 p.m. right now, and I do not want to eat. I mean, I kind of want to eat, but I will not be a happy sleeper if I eat this mousse and cake right before I go to sleep. So what we're gonna do is, I'm kind of letting you see the texture of it here. But we're gonna go ahead and just put this in the freezer and we'll have it for breakfast tomorrow morning. All right, the can has been out of the freezer for a little while this morning, and I just know it's not going to come out. No, I didn't think so. So I think we're gonna do the Jell-O trick, maybe dip it in some warm water and then see if it'll unmold from there. Okay, tried it a couple times, it didn't work. Now I'm just kind of squeezing the middle. Oh, it is holding fast in there. I ran a knife around the edges. It does not want to come out. Oh, wait. I hear it. Okay. It's out. Now we have our handsomest berries to put around here. This kind of looks like a cake itself. That kind of looks nice. All right. This morning I am headed out to do a little mushroom hunt walk event type thing. So I'm gonna make sure and fuel myself with a nice well-balanced breakfast beforehand. We have cake and ice cream. I think that's pretty balanced. All right, let's try this out. Now, the mousse, I guess it's not ice cream, it's mousse. The mousse, probably, I'm trying to keep into consideration, we put it in the freezer overnight to hold. They wouldn't have a deep freezer back then, so this is probably, when I think about the texture of this, I'm gonna try and keep in mind that it would be much softer and not quite as cold as what we're trying it now. But the cake, the texture on the cake seems pretty nice. I think it looks pretty good. It smells good, it smells lemony. I think this cake was another success. We've had a couple so far moving further into this project that actually turned out pretty well. And you know, a lot of these recipes are terrible. Like we've talked about it, they aren't great recipes, but I'm wondering if I were to try out some of those cake recipes that we tried at the very beginning, would they turn out much better now that I'm kind of used to doing a little bit more baking? Is this a testament to the recipes, or is this a testament to practicing baking? Maybe a little bit of both, I'm not sure. Let's try the strawberry mousse. That smells good. It smells like strawberries. Mmm. It's strawberry whipped cream. What is bad about strawberry whipped cream? Nothing. Nothing. It's delicious. Let's put these two together. Mmm. Strawberries and lemon. Excellent combination. This right here, this was great. So now that I've tried this, I can give you an overall opinion of this meal. Overall, this meal turned out much better than I expected. Aesthetically, it wasn't very pleasing, at least the main course of the meal. I think the dessert is nice to look at, but the main meal was not, but it tasted much better than what it looked. Now, I still don't think it was the best meal that we've had, but it wasn't bad. I'm going to go ahead and be a little neutral on this one this week as well, and I'm going to rate it maybe a 6. Nutrition-wise, this one was kind of interesting. We have our salmon loaf, and salmon is notoriously good for you. It has fantastic fatty acids inside of it. Now we are mixing it together with a lot of breadcrumbs in this. However, that doesn't negate the fact that salmon is still very healthy for you. In addition to the salmon, which is a very excellent source of protein, we're adding egg sauce on top of that. So while we don't have a ton of egg in that, there is still an added bit of protein to that sauce. Our melted potatoes, our spinach, and our beet salad with celery, there's tons of vegetables in this, both cooked and fresh, and it's a great variety of all sorts of different colors. So I really love that about this. Now, our desserts, we do have a little bit of fruit in that strawberry mousse, but overall, our desserts, we're gonna go more with soul food on this one. Now, there was a lot of white sauce, a lot of cream, butter, milk. There's a good bit of fat in this menu this week. Now, did they probably, maybe at this point, you know, it's springtime, they're probably getting out there doing a lot more work in the fields if that's their type. If they weren't middle class, they might be doing a lot more work and need a little bit more of that fat. However, I would think maybe this would be, all this fat might be more important for the winter time when they're trudging through snow, but who knows? Overall, we're gonna say this one is about midline for nutrition. Surprisingly, budget-wise, this might be our least expensive meal yet. I expected the salmon to be very expensive. However, for a can of salmon, which was just under a pound, it was only about $5. Normally, our main courses are coming in between, at a minimum of maybe $20 for most of them, except maybe the chicken, to we've had upwards of over $100 for some of our more, I guess, hard to find things like our veals and different goose, those sorts of things. So overall, this menu only cost us maybe $25 for 6 people, which I think is exceptionally impressive for this array and variety of different things. If you like what you saw today, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel so that you never miss a Sunday dinner. Join us next week where, amongst everything else, we have lamb chops and veal knuckle soup.